Hi, I'm Michelle Faust, and I'm a storytelling strategist. I'm also the founder of Lemonade Legend. I'd like to talk today a little bit about the power of sharing your story, the benefits, and how to go about it, and the why you want to share your story. But first, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. So last December, I published an anthology, and it's called The Lemonade Stand, about the proudest moment of my life. It's a collection of 19 stories of women who had a vision more powerful than their fear. It's an anthology of inspiring stories of women who were able to push through struggles like abuse and cancer and being in prison and all kinds of incredible stories. Not one is more traumatic or better than the other. They're all stories, and they're all stories that shape who and what we are. So the inception of the Lemonade Stand started with my own story, my self-realization that I had a story to share. And I wasn't sure how to do that. I wasn't sure how to share that. I thought about writing a book. That's pretty intimidating sometimes. That comes with a certain expense. I really didn't know how to share that. But I really wanted to share the fact that I had learned how to develop a very fearless attitude. And I can do anything attitude that was born out of the fact that I grew up since birth having a very severe hearing loss. So it negatively impacted me in many ways. It impacted my self-worth. It created self-limiting beliefs. I had many people who tried to convince me that I would have to think in terms of jobs that maybe were like being the lab rat, sitting on the computer. Things I just really wasn't interested in doing. I really wanted to immerse myself in the world. I really wanted to believe that I was an exceptional person, because that in my heart is what I felt. But going through school changed a lot of those feelings because I hid my hearing loss because I was shameful of it. I didn't feel perfect. I didn't feel normal. I was afraid that people would think less of me if I allowed that to be known. I don't think I fooled anyone. I think they just kind of assumed what was going on and, let it go. There were probably a few people that thought I was maybe stupid because I didn't always understand what was being said. I didn't join into the reindeer game, so to speak, because there was just a part of me that held on to a lot of fear of being a part of the rest of the world. So in addition to that, my family went through a period of time affected by illness and financial troubles, emotional problems. My sister became very ill for a period of time. Unfortunately, she ended up losing her life and losing the battle of her illness. But it really took something away from my mom and her ability to focus on being there for the rest of us, me and my other two sisters. So I was kind of left alone to navigate the world, to self-teach a little bit. Maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure. I just know who I am today, so I believe it to be a good thing. I missed a lot by not having my mom there, my dad, to really help me understand how I could be the best I could be given my disability. So I did it on my own. I did try to hide it. I thought I was a great actor, but more accurately, I was a great faker. Over the years, I learned to enhance so many of my other senses. So I became very masterful at reading body language and really tuning in to listen, and to listen with eyes pointed forward and looking intently and the person who was talking, because I had to supplement by reading lips in order to hear. So what that did, that made me a great listener. It turned me into a person who was more interested in creating and developing really strong and really honest relationship. I couldn't afford to just give lip service or partially listen. I had to be all in. And so I think that helped me to develop some skills that were very powerful in the sales world. It wasn't where I saw myself going in sales. I don't even consider myself a good salesperson, honestly. But I had an opportunity, by luck and determination, to get a pharmaceutical job. Very stressful, very dog-eat-dog kind of world out there. Very, very competitive. And I couldn't believe that I had been able to pass the interview and get hired. And that was the beginning of what turned out to be a 20-year pharmaceutical career. And I was successful. I was really successful. I won the top award. I won trips. I got great bonuses. Although I didn't love what I was doing, I embraced the fact that I was able to do it, and I was able to prove myself and my self-worth to the world. So I stayed with it. And the reason I was a top seller, I believe, because I wasn't following this pharmaceutical idea of what they thought was good sales. I was following what I felt was right, and that was developing relationships and listening intently, hearing what my customers were saying and understanding what they needed. So I wasn't doing, the fast sale, the close. I knew I had to go into the office again. So I did what I thought was right. So I did end up being extremely successful. I worked it for 20 years. I reached the pinnacle of my career and the job that I loved the most. And my great reward was a pink slip. So my accomplishments didn't speak for much. I no longer fit the mold. I did not have the youth. I did not have the bubbling personality. Because of my hearing loss, I don't tend to be that, engaging person in the party where all the background noise is and I can't hear what's going on. And so I'm not the one that is telling the jokes and getting all the laughs. And, in the end, it did hurt me. However, nobody can ever take away the 20 years of success and the awards that I gained. Along the line, though, there were times that I did think that my success was a fluke, and it wasn't real, because I didn't seem to really measure up when I would compare myself to other people in that world. But when I did get fired, yeah, I was pretty devastated. I don't even have the words right now that I can express what that really did to me. It was a very manipulative type of process in which they got rid of 3 out of 7 people in the division. We were the oldest, go figure. So it was hard to take. And I was at an age where I wasn't sure that pharmaceuticals was really the right place for me to stay and start over again. So I had to think about, what am I going to do? I'm not young enough to retire yet. And so I took a lot of time in prayer and self-reflection, meditation. That's where I learned to appreciate and know that my success was not a fluke. It was because of sheer determination and belief in myself, working harder than anyone else to make sure that I could at least be just as good. It turned out I was even better than a lot of them. So I ended up, in the long run, falling back to a love of mine, which is writing. Not very experienced at it, just know that it's something that I love to do, and I always wanted to do. So here I was at a crossroad, needing to decide, where am I going from here? So I fell into content writing, which kind of led me into the marketing world. And then I had a great opportunity to host a podcast. I loved it. It was ideal for me. I had my headsets on so I could hear the people I was interviewing. I could see them right across the room. I was in my element. I could talk and be engaging and be that person that I always wanted to be, but because I was in a very contained kind of environment, I was able to do that, and the best of me came out of me. And it was a real point of, in my career, of just realizing I can do this. You know, I don't have to hide behind a disability and say I can't. I can do this. I can be proud of myself, and I can have that feeling of self-worth, and I can have engaging conversations with people. It was so exciting. I can't even begin to tell you. However, I wasn't making a lot of money. And in the end, this wasn't about fun and games. So I really need to focus on, how am I going to make some money? So I worked hard on the content writing. I got clients. I examined many ways in which I might be able to monetize the podcast. That wasn't really coming along as well as I would have liked it to. But in that process of doing the podcast and my entrepreneur work, I was coming across women, men too, but I was coming across more women who all had some really great, amazing stories. They were really top business leaders, energetic, mentoring entrepreneurs. But they came with stories. Their life wasn't perfect. They came with these incredible, inspiring stories of not only what they put themselves through, or I should say life, put them through, but how they were able to power through it and become a better person and a more successful business leader through it. And I was really fascinated by that. So the inception of the idea of doing the lemonade stand kind of started with the idea that I had my story. I felt that I had done a great job of developing a fearless attitude after growing up with nothing but fear and battling that fear. And finally coming out of that fear, even though I wasn't yet that successful in what I was doing, at least not financially. But I felt really great about the fact that I wasn't afraid to jump in and try anything. If it didn't work, it didn't work. If it did, it was beautiful. So the idea of the lemonade stand was born because I didn't want to tell just my story. I didn't think I had a whole book in me. But I wanted to share it. I wanted to share the platform with other women. So I started the process of looking into how do I go about this. And so I found some people who could offer services to help me. I started a recruiting process to find authors. I asked for help. I asked for people to send me referrals. This is what I'm doing. You have a woman out there you know that's got a great story. I wanted the women who had stories that were both inspiring and vulnerable, raw, real, the difficult one to put out there, the ones we hide behind. These were the type of women that I wanted to join me in my mission to create the Lemonade Den. And there was nothing easy or certain about this project. I just knew I had to follow my heart and I had to do it. During this journey, I learned so much. I made amazing connections. I found my true calling. But it wasn't until the end of it that I really found my true calling. In the beginning, I don't think I knew what I was doing. But I created the Lemonade Legend to give voice. Because people who otherwise would have none or wouldn't know how to share their voice or where to share it, how to express it. Women who are in situations of abuse and trauma, controlling spouses, feeling helpless with maybe a devastating health diagnosis. What commonly is felt in those situations that they don't have a voice. They're dependent on their spouse, their doctor, their boss, whatever situation they're in, they're dependent on who is higher up than them to tell them what to do and how to do it. And they did not have their own voice. And that was the biggest missing piece. I think it's more painful than the abuse itself, or I don't know, just that, you know, the thought of death at the end of a cancer diagnosis. I think it's when you feel trapped, that you cannot voice your feelings, your wants, your needs, your desires. To me, that's one of the hardest things to deal with. It's almost like being dead. And so as I began to realize this, the idea of publishing the Lemonade Den became so much more important to me. It was a mission, and it was not one that came easily to me. And it was a financial obligation. At one point, I was asked, do I want to move forward? I had half the women I needed to make it financially viable. And I said, I have to. I have to go forward. Because I have 10 women who trust me, who signed up for this, who are looking to have a voice. And I can't turn my back on them. Even if I take a big financial hit, I can't do that. So I prayed, I meditated, I put all of my energy into my higher being, say, God, please help me. Please help me know what to do. And it wasn't very long after that where I felt like there were women literally raining out of the sky and falling into my lap. And I could hardly keep up with making sure I could fit them all into my schedule to talk to them, to talk about their stories and see what I could do for them, see if they were a good fit. And they all were. I mean, amazing, amazing people. Then the process wasn't always easy. I cried a lot, I laughed a lot, pounded my fist in frustration. But what project, what entrepreneurial project or project of passion does not come with that? So I kept persevering. And then Lemonade Stand became my book. So here are some of the things that I've learned and taken to heart, or kind of become my spiritual ministry. So I want to share a little bit about telling your story. Stories are empowering. It's the #1 way to journey to forgiveness. Yeah, it really is. Whether you need to forgive yourself or someone who's wronged you in the past. Forgiveness is like a cleansing of emotional toxin. It's energizing and gives greater clarity to your thought. It gives the lightness of your soul. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing. It also helps to move you past your shame. And there are a lot of people, whether they're deserving of it or not, that carry shame. It's a huge weight. So I'll tell you the story about one of my authors who was married 5 times. And for over 20 years, she carried a lot of shame about that. She didn't feel safe talking about it. She kind of tucked it away in a corner. But it was always there, kind of gnawing at her. And so she took the challenge to be an author in the Lemonade Stand. And in the process, she dug deep, deep down inside. She went into her soul and really poured out the story of a lot of heartache, a lot of misunderstanding, and pain, a lot of joy at the same time, because it all kind of gets rumbled up together. But what it did is it allowed her to release that shame. Because once she shared it, and once it was out in the open, shame didn't hold a place inside of her anymore. In fact, it allowed her to change her focus as a coach, a business coach, to work more with divorced women. Because, as she says, she had a black belt in divorce. So who better than to be able to help women take that dark journey through divorce? It was very cathartic, but it also set her on a path of a new career. It puts you in a really influential position too. That might scare some of you. It might not. It might be exactly what you're looking to do, is be the influencer. But truly, when you share your story, you help others heal and you squash their demons. You have the ability to raise up your sisters and help them to the other side of calamity and trauma. It's your chance to leave your imprint on the world. Stories create connections and bonds. I have an absolutely unshakable bond with the original 19, actually 18, I'm sorry. I'm one of the 19. I'm pretty bonded to myself. But the original 18 authors, we do have an amazing bond, an amazing connection. They joined me on this Lemonade Dan journey and also have stood by my side ever since. We support each other, we help each other. We didn't write a book and just say, see you guys later. We're soulmates. And we created a connection that I believe will be forever. And people who have come to me and shared their story, it's such a natural connection. And it's a vulnerable and real and honest connection. It's kind of like networking on steroids. Because in a networking event, do you really get to know people? You really get to talk to them and find out who they're like? And are you really going to walk away and say, I really want to do business with that person? Maybe sometime. But when you're bonding with people who are sharing their stories, and you relate to the story, and you understand how powerful that individual is for being able to get through their story, you've made a connection. And you're not going to forget it. And if you need to do business with something that that person does, it's the first one you're going to go to. Because people do business with people they like and trust. And there's no better way to build trust than to be a little raw about yourself. Be a little bit vulnerable, bare your soul, but do it in a way that commands your sense of presence and your courage and your bravery to get through it and share that story. Storytelling is actually the newest trend in marketing. For the reason I just said. People do business with people they like and they trust. You might as well get on the cutting edge and use your storytelling to also help you grow your business. It is it's a way to show people that you're imperfect, just like they are. So they're going to trust you for that. Build your own communities, or join ours. Like-minded people and individuals with relatable stories, and they'll seek you out, and they'll want to be a part of your community. Or join ours. We're on Facebook, the Lemonade Dan community. Is a great group of people, and we are there to support each other in a safe environment, to build each other up, to raise our self-esteem, to help grow our businesses, but always to be there to be honest about our stories. Because you know what? Nobody ever has one story. If you come through and you make lemonade out of those lemons in your life, and you do the rah-rah, just wait around a little while. You'll have some more lemons coming your way. And you know what? If you did a really good job of creating that lemonade, you got the secret sauce, that makes it like really great, then the next time the lemons come your way, you're just going to make some more lemonade. And you'll be stronger and better, and you'll make more connections, and you'll be more powerful, be more spiritual, you'll be humble. So much good comes out of it. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is that it gives you credibility. So if you walk into an event, networking, whatever it might be, and you carry your book in and you donate it as a door prize or a giveaway, I guarantee you're going to be recognized. Somebody's going to put a microphone in your face, or at least they'll introduce you themselves on a microphone and say, thank you so much. Michelle Faust just donated the Lemonade Stand at the giveaway, and here's a little bit about what she does. So it helps you stand out above the crowd, because you're offering something of value. The other thing is, if your desire is to be on a stage, and I meet a lot of people who say that's exactly where they want to be, then a book it's an absolute necessity. It's like having the university degree that gets you the interview for the job. Very few people make it on the stage without having the name author behind them and having a printed published book available. It's just again, it's that credibility. So if for nothing else, that's an important reason to write your book or be a part of a book. Because even as a collaborating author, you are an author, you have a book, you can be a best-selling author just by being a part of it. But here's the credibility I really want you to think about. And it's the credibility you gain for yourself. That moment after you've taken what's been in your head and your heart bouncing around looking for a safe place to land, and then you take all that and you put it down on pen to paper. Others have stepped in to edit and proofread it, give you feedback. You've gone through fear, self-doubt, terrifying thoughts of failing. Trust me, I know. I've been there. And you read that final proof like it's the first time you ever heard it. It's a powerful moment because you realize it is a sacred and treasured life story that you lived and survived. It's your passionate gift to yourself and the world. I've personally seen my authors grow from the original book, The Lemonade Stand. They've gained tremendous growth in their business and their personal world. Some have gained clients. Some have shifted their purpose and their mission to make a little bit of a different footprint in the world. Many have grown exponentially in their feelings of self-worth, an ability to step out of their comfort zone. One of my authors has even gone on to write her own book, which is an extension of her chapter. She'll be publishing in April. So proud of her. So this is a great stepping stone for her because she knew all along she wanted to write a book. But by writing a chapter in an anthology, she was able to test the waters a little bit and more easily step out of her comfort zone and then take the real risk of writing her very own book. And I've gotten a sneak peek. It's a great book. So I am thrilled for her. I know that 100% of the authors in their tribes have risen to new levels of drive and determination and spirituality. So each and every one of the people that I have personally worked with in the Lemonade Stand has gained so much in so many ways by being a part of the Lemonade Stand. So where am I now? You know what? If I'd have died the day the book launched, I probably would have died happy. It was such a defining moment in my life. I always wanted to publish a book and to be able to publish something that was very successful, that gained me so many beautiful, wonderful, amazing friendships. The response from so many people from the launch party, it was empowering. It will be with me absolutely forever. But I didn't die, so I've got to go on, because I do feel that empowerment to go on. So after the success of the Lemonade Stand and the demand for a sequel, I didn't know there was going to be a sequel until I had enough people telling me they wanted to be in the sequel. So I knew I'd found my true purpose, and that I had to step out of that marketing and content writing zone and put myself fully into helping people find their voice. And we do that under the business name of Lemonade Legend. And the plan is to put out book number 2. I'm seeking authors to be a part of that. I help to self-publish individual books. We share our stories on my podcast. And we have a digital magazine, the Lemonade Legend magazine, targeted to be released mid-April. Very excited about that, because it's just, again, another platform to share stories, and then eventually to be able to help people get onto the stage. So the Lemonade Legend is there to inspire people to have a voice, to share their story. We help to create it, craft it, whatever is needed for it to get out there for the world, because we connect people with their stories and their stories to the world. That is Lemonade Legend. And there's so many opportunities out there when you're ready to open up your heart, open up your mind, be a little bit scared, be a little bit vulnerable. Put yourself out there. We're here to help you and support you. Nobody ever has to be alone in that process. But it's one that I hope that you will expose yourself to, experience, because this is about you and your story and what you want to do with it. And even a story that gets written and tucked away in your private place is still an empowering process. But sharing it to the world and showing up brave and courageous and real, it's an extraordinary place to reside in and rejoice in who you are and all that you have to offer. Because you do. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something to offer. And I'm just here to help give a little bit of guidance to anyone who wants to find their way through their story. I thank you so much for listening to me. We have a lot of things going on, so hook up with me on my Facebook group. Be a part of the journey, the workshops that are going on, the conferences. It's like I say, it's a pretty cool place to be, with some pretty amazing people, just like you. So again, I thank you for listening. I'm Michelle Faust, and here with the Lemonade Legend, offering you your platform for your story. Thank you so much. Good night.